We need a little lip gloss touch up. Okay. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy that you decided to click on and listen in. If you are new, an extra special welcome to you. Wherever you found me, I'm glad that you're here. You're here for a reason. And if you're new, be sure to follow this podcast wherever you listen or subscribe on YouTube, because now I'm trying to upload all of these episodes on YouTube as well. You can also see the, video version of the podcast on Spotify, but Apple, it's the audio only version, so whatever. And be sure to follow all of my socials. It's linked in the show description, the show notes, the caption, whatever down below an episode. You'll find all of the links. And let's get straight into the high and the low. So a high of this week is probably the fact that I'm going skiing with a friend tomorrow. I haven't gone skiing since I was in middle school. And so I'm really, really excited to get back on the slopes and hopefully not break anything and have a lot of fun. And the weather seems to be perfect for it tomorrow, so I'm extra excited. And a low is the fact that I'm re-recording this episode. So I recorded it this morning and it was an immaculate episode. And then I was listening back to the audio and I must have clicked the wrong speaker version or microphone. And so the microphone quality was horrendous. And so I am redoing it because my girls deserve the best. Okay, standards are high. So standards are high. And speaking of standards, I hope that the camera quality is better. I stole my dad's webcam. And so hopefully this is a good camera. Obviously I'm not a YouTuber and I don't really want to spend a ton of money on a camera, but the girls want to see a video version. So I'm going to do what I can. All right. And then a shout out. So I give a shout out in every single episode. And to get a shout out, you can either leave me a comment in the YouTube, the Spotify, or you can leave me an Apple Podcast review. Whatever you do, I will be shouting out a person, and maybe eventually I can shout out someone from each platform, just because for me it is really important to get those ratings and reviews on Apple and Spotify, because that's how they push out this podcast to more girls just like you. But on the topic of today's episode, Celia 3 days ago commented on episode 128 and said, "Hey Lana, I'm so glad you're back. I was sad when you weren't posting. You're the only podcast I listen to for a good reason. A goal I'm trying to do is daily affirmations. I was wondering if you could talk on fake friends and how to drop them. Love you, Lana." Well, I love you too, Celia. Thank you so much for leaving that comment in Spotify. And fake friends, yeah. We're going to talk about this because, especially with women, because this podcast is mostly for the girls, right? That's my main demographic. We have to deal with fake friends 20 million times more than men, what I've noticed. And there's just more politics and more passive aggression and more just weirdness when it comes to female friendships. And it's just a lot more common for a lot of my toxic friendships in the past to be a girl. I will give one story time where it was a guy, but it was mostly women that ended up, having the different red flags that we're going to talk about. But yes, daily affirmations, Celia, such a good goal, because I was listening to a podcast and it was pretty much the words you say to yourself become your reality, because it's subconscious, right? And so you need to be really careful with how you speak to yourself, because a lot of times you do internalize that language. And I definitely will be doing an episode on what to do if you hate yourself and if you're really unkind to yourself, because I've struggled with it and I still do. And so how do you change that negative self-talk? How do you start to like who you are, even with all of your flaws, even as your work in progress? And let's get into today's episode. Nobody ever really teaches you how to be a friend or what a healthy friendship looks like. And this is, I think, something that kind of sucks, because it's not like there's a class in school that's watch out for these toxic people. And generally you're finding this information of what is a toxic friend? How do I find, a fake friend? How do I get rid of them? You're on YouTube, you're on Spotify, you're trying to find out, because nobody teaches you this in school and it's not talked about a lot, between friends. And I think the whole transition of going from middle school to high school to college and beyond, it's a very difficult transition in regards to friends, because you're constantly, interacting with new people. You are growing as a person, so you do end up outgrowing relationships, but you also learn a lot about friendships during this time. And so you have lots of experiences probably already, and you're going to be listening to mine, where a friendship started off good and then things started to go south, or you started to notice some things about a friend that are red flags and that just show that this is not a good person for you to be around. Again, as I mentioned, I think the whole toxic friends is way more common to find between females than it is men, because men just hash things out. And the guy friends that I have, like, it's just so straightforward. If they don't like something, they tell you. If they're angry at you, they tell you. But I think with women, it's like more passive aggression. There is more competition. That's just how it is. And in media, it shows you like these female friends, these ride or die besties, these friend groups that are amazing. But like, I never really had that. And it's actually not very common. Like, I was talking to a lot of other female friends in my life, and you have pockets of friends, but you don't really have one big friend group, especially once you go to like college or you have a career. Like, there's no like little cliques that they have like in middle or high school, or what they show you in media. And also, what I notice is like this whole ride or die bestie. If you are blessed to have a ride or die bestie that you've been friends with since you were 5 years old, and you guys are tight and you talk about everything, that is amazing. And I'm jealous because I never really had that, right? Like, I've had seasons of friends, but I never had one friend that lasted more than like a couple of years, excluding obviously family, because family is a completely different dynamic. Like, you can be friendly with them, but you're also forced to be around them. And so it's different with friends. You choose to be around them. You choose for them to be in your life. And that's why it's easier that if they're fake, if they're toxic, you can cut them off. With family, it's more challenging, right? And so I hate when people text me when I'm trying to do a podcast. Anyway, so as I was saying, I've never had a ride or die bestie, and I probably never will. Like, you know what I mean? And that's just a realization that I came to have, and I'll probably never have a friend group because life is just like that. So just accept that. And I'm lucky for the friends that I do have. And this past few years, I've actually developed quite a few very good, healthy female friendships, and I'm very grateful for that. But like, I've been through lots of issues with female friends, and we'll get into that. So let's talk about the 3 blaring red flags of a toxic friend, with some of my stories, of course, to illustrate some of my past experiences and how to cut these types of friends out of your life in a classy way. Because I've seen some podcasters and they're like, just block them on everything and like completely ignore them. Well, that's not really a mature way. Like, unless they're a really toxic person, you need to kind of tell them why you're drifting, or tell them that this relationship isn't working. And if they still don't understand, then you do that. But like, you can't just like make all these irrational decisions, because then on you, it kind of looks like you're immature and you don't know how to handle a difficult situation like a toxic friendship. Okay, red flag number 1 of a toxic friend is betrayal and lying. So if a friend ever betrays your secrets, lies about you to gain something, or just for whatever reason, talks behind your back, they are not a friend. And some small red flags to look out for is if they lie about little things like where they were that night or who they were with, if they talk behind other people's back, like if you're meeting up for coffee and they're yapping about another person, like in a really negative light, if they are, saying people's secrets that they should not be saying. Because if they are lying about others and talking behind other people's backs and telling you secrets that you should not have the knowledge of, they're doing the same thing to you. Like, you're not special. Get that out of your head. Like, they're going to treat you the same way as they treated all their other friends. So, story time. Let's talk about the first true female friendship I ever had. And for everyone's privacy, as I go through these story times, all of the names are changed. So you're never going to find them, because I'm not like that. But let's call this girl Abby. And Abby and I, she was like my first friend ever. We were in kindergarten and we rode on the same bus together. So obviously, I talked to some people around me and I met Abby, and we had a huge thing in common. We both loved horses. We were both big horse girls. I still am a horse girl. I just don't have the money to ride horses. But, we both loved horses. We really bonded over that. And that was like what we were always talking about. And we were pretty good friends, I would say. And I did notice some like tiny red flags. Like her mom didn't like me. I wasn't really invited to birthday parties or play dates or really hanging out ever beyond just school. Yeah, it was just like little red flags here and there, but I didn't think anything of it. And also I was in kindergarten, so it's not like my emotional intelligence was really high at that point. But I remember probably in the spring, so we were friends already for quite a few months, right? Like the fall, we met, and then by the springtime, and I remember getting called into the principal's office, and I walked in, and there Abby was with her mom and the principal. And I was really confused because I had like no idea what was going on. And pretty much what happened is Abby went and lied to her mom that I was bullying her on the bus and saying like nasty names and whatever. And then the mom went and like called the principal or something got to the principal, and pretty much I was like told that I did something wrong and like it was my fault. And I remember I never did that, and I just started crying because obviously for a 7-year-old, that's kind of a lot of like, I didn't know how to react. Like I was like, she was my best friend and she just completely lied about me and what I did to gain whatever reason. Or maybe even, I never really touched the subject with her after the fact, but like maybe her mom lied about me just so we're not friends because for some reason her mom didn't like me. Like, I don't know what was going on there. That's not my thing. But like the thing is, there were little red flags of her, lying just tiny bits about other people or her life. And eventually, it got to the point where I got sent to the principal's office because the lie was on me. And I remember coming home early from school that day, and I still smell the scent of my dad was staining like around the window. So it's like wood stain, and it smells very oily and lemony. And I remember standing there crying, and I was like, Dad, like, why would my friend do that to me? Like, I never said anything bad about her on the bus. And my dad taught me that there are people in this life that will betray and lie and steal and do whatever it takes for them to gain something. So whether that is they want to be like, they can lie about your performance at work so they get the promotion. They can lie about, how you are as a friend or how you are as a person for them to get the boyfriend, for them to get that friend. And I've had multiple friendships after this where a girl especially did lie, or she lied by omission. She didn't tell me information. She didn't want to support me or help me in any way. And so that's not a true friend. And so if you notice a person talking behind other people's backs, doing little lies, they're probably going to do the same thing to you. And trust me, when it blows up in your face, it is not fun. And this is another story time with actually a male friend. Let's call him Bob. Bob still to this day talks a lot behind my back. It's a lot of negativity, and it's like I'm fully aware of the situation, and I have come to Bob numerous times being like, what you're saying isn't okay. But I've come to the realization that like the people that talk behind your back, they're like jealous and insecure of you, right? And you aren't doing anything wrong. They are. And so obviously, if there is someone in your life that is constantly talking behind your back, lying about you, and you can't cut them off. Because like, for example, with the Abby girl, right? After kindergarten, we really weren't friends. Like, of course, like I would see her in the hallways and I would like smile, like I'm going to try and be somewhat nice, but like I wasn't going to go and be her bestie after that, right? And so if there is a person that you genuinely have to be around, maybe they're a coworker, right? And you genuinely have to be around them, even though you are aware that they talk behind your back or they lie, just set boundaries. Just don't talk about much with them. And it's a lot easier for you to not give them information that they can spin into lies. So just keep your mouth shut. Don't talk about anything important, because then if they do create a lie and they don't know anything about your life or what's going on, then it's going to be a lot harder to lie and talk behind your back. So like, obviously, if it's a friend that betrayed and lied to you, try and like phase them out. And we'll go into how to get rid of fake friends and toxic friends in the end of the episode. But like, if they need to stay in your life for whatever reason, just set very firm boundaries and don't give them any valuable information about you and your life. Red flag number 2, jealousy and competition. If a friend is jealous of you, and again, this is so common with female friendships, it's just like a thing, it happens, they will compete and they will not be a good friend and they will not be a supportive friend to you. And A friend might be jealous of your body, your looks, your grades, the job you get, the boyfriend, your successes, or really anything else. And because of her jealousy, she will purposely try and exclude you. She will constantly compare herself to you. She will discourage you from pursuing goals or opportunities. She will gatekeep a lot of opportunities from you. And she will just not be happy for you ever. If anything is going good for you, she just won't be happy, and you will literally see it. And some small red flags to look out for is like them not commenting or liking your social media posts, them saying nasty comments about you or others, them just not celebrating your wins, even just like go to this friend as like a test and give them like one of your best successes. Like maybe you have been super consistent at the gym for like a couple of months. Notice how she reacts. Maybe not in a braggy way, just say like, oh my gosh, like I'm so happy, like I don't know, I got this job opportunity. Look at her little micro reaction right when you tell it to her, because if it does not look happy and then all of a sudden she plasters on this fake smile, she is jealous of you, and you need to be careful around people like that. Story time. Okay. This is probably a year before or during freshman year of high school. I don't fully remember, but I had like a friend group for the first time, like an actual group where we hung out together, we went to homecoming together, we did stuff together. And that was a good 2 years of my life. Like I have fond memories of this group, and there was a girl in this group, and let's call her Lily. And Lily and I were on friendly terms because like she was part of the friend group, but not like my best friend. So like we were friends by association, not because we genuinely chose each other. And Lily and I actually have, and probably still do to this day, like have very similar personalities. We're both like go-getters, type A, etc., etc. But the problem is when you pit two people together and they're very similar, and then one starts to shine a little more than the other person gets jealous and they can start being really nasty and start holding bad grudges. So I remember the whole friend group was together with our parents and whatever, taking homecoming photo pictures. And I remember my mom pulling me aside and saying, being like, genuinely, like my mom was concerned. She was like, Lana, you have to be really careful with Lily. And at the time I was oblivious because I was like, oh, what? Like I didn't focus too hard on her because I was so busy with like school and like activities and clubs and like my friend group. Like I didn't really sit there and analyze every single person. And I remember looking at my mom and being like, what do you mean? And my mom just explained, it doesn't look like Lily really likes you, and it actually looks like she's really jealous. And moms just always get the vibes. They just always know. My mom is like almost always right. And so for the rest of the year, I was actually paying attention to Lily a little more and noticing that when I beat her at a competition, she would literally cry. She would not try to exclude me from hanging out with friends. She would just not ever be happy for me in anything I did. And eventually the friend group broke up because most female friendships break, like especially bigger groups. And again, this was like freshman year high school. I'm in college now. Like it's been a while. And so I actually wanted to follow Lily on socials. And so I like requested to follow whatever. Literally this girl, I'm telling you, this girl still holds a grudge from like 4 or 5 years ago, babe. Honestly. But she did not accept my request. She actually ignored it, and I like removed my request because I'm like, nah, I thought some people grew, but apparently not. Apparently some people are still stuck in high school. But the lesson of this whole jealous friends thing is, with a jealous friendship, you guys have to have a very serious discussion about the jealousy and the competition and try to move past it, or you guys just cannot be friends, because a jealous friend will hurt both of you in the long run, because she will not be supportive. She will not be a positive person to be around, and it's going to make you feel worse about yourself. And I notice a lot of times also with jealous friendships, and I'm actually thinking back to like Gossip Girl and Serena and Blair. And because Blair was so insecure and constantly compared herself to Serena, it hurt their friendship. Like every single season there was some kind of issue because Blair was insecure that Serena got the boy or the success or whatever, right? And even Serena once said, like, I don't want to dim my light for you. And so if you have a friend that's jealous of you, but you have to feel like you have to dim your light and not talk about your successes and not set goals around this person because you're scared that, the insecure person's going to throw a hissy fit, like, they're not a good friend to be around. Like a toxic, jealous friend will hurt both of you because this friend constantly compares themselves to you and you feel like you have to dim your light down and not share your successes and your hopes and your dreams with this person because you don't want them to be more insecure. Now, you might be asking, well, Alana, what if I'm the jealous friend? Like, what if I'm Lily in your story and I'm jealous of my friend because she's prettier than me, more successful than me, skinnier than me, has a boyfriend, and I don't want to be jealous of my friend? Like, maybe you're like Lily, but you don't want to be jealous. You don't want to have this nasty, ugly feeling because you want to be a good friend to her. First and foremost, and I can make a whole episode on jealousy as a whole, but jealousy is a you problem. Jealousy is a warning sign that this friend has something that you do not. Don't blame the jealousy on your friend. Don't be like, oh, well, I'm just jealous that, look at her, like she has such clear skin. Well, what are you doing to get clear skin? Are you eating healthy? Are you drinking water? Are you washing out your makeup? Are you doing skincare? Are you doing masks? What are you doing? Or, oh, she has better grades than I do. Well, what are you doing? Are you studying? Are you putting in the hours? Yes, for some people it's easier to get A's than others, but you can still put in the effort and get good grades. Instead of viewing this jealousy as a bad thing, start to view it as a positive thing. Start to view it as a highlighter in your life, showing you that you have something to work on. Maybe if you really are jealous of your friend's body, you can start going to the gym. You can lose or gain the weight. You can start eating healthier. Or, you can start studying more or reading more. And if it's something that you can't change, because I really do believe everything is fixable or at least can be improved, for example, skin or a body or grades or a career or successes. But let's pretend your friend she's one of the lucky ones, okay? She has perfectly glowy, clear skin. And you're like me, where you make sure you eat healthy, you do your skincare, you do the double cleansing, you do all of the things, you get facials, you do everything. And you still have a couple of pimples around. And you're just like, oh, I wish I had skin like hers. Well, then you need to work on your confidence because yes, we can fix the things you're insecure on so you're less jealous of your friend, but there are certain things that just are not possible. Like for me to have perfectly clear skin right now in this season of life, and actually since I was 13, never has been a possibility. Never. Even when I did the supplements and skincare and eating healthy, never. And I could sit there and be angry at my friends who have clear skin and actually never have to worry about a thing. But that's dumb and that's draining to me, and it makes me not a good friend. And so I've come to the realization that I just need to accept my skin and start to love myself for who I really am. And that is a lot harder said than done. I'm gonna do a whole episode on what to do if you hate yourself, because I've been there, I've done that. Still kind of struggle with it, but it is what it is. And so really work on improving yourself and making yourself more confident and secure in who you are. And the more confident and secure you are in yourself, the less likely you are to compare yourself to your friend. And also remind yourself that there is room for everybody on top. A lot of things I notice in college is this competition of success, of who went to which internship, who got whose salary is higher. Who cares? There is enough success for everybody in this world. There is enough money for everybody in this world. And if you view it as this little, tiny little pod and there's not enough for everybody, that's a scarcity mentality. That just shows that you aren't confident in yourself, but you're also view success as something that only a select few people have, which isn't true. Anybody can get success. So even if you've worked on accepting yourself, you worked on improving yourself, you worked on the self-trust, you understand there's enough space for everybody on top, and you're still comparing yourself to her, then maybe you need to talk to your friend and say, I need to heal myself. We need a friendship break. Because being the jealous friend, and I've been there too, there has been certain friends in my life where I was jealous of them, but I actually had to distance myself from them. And sometimes I would explain, and sometimes I just would distance myself and reconvene when I'm better. I need time to heal. I need time to figure out who I am. Otherwise, I'm going to sit there and compare myself and feel bad about myself. And that's not how it's meant to be. You get what I'm saying? And so work on your own confidence. And whether that means you take a friendship break and you come back in 6 months and then you guys can be besties, or you take a friendship break forever, right? if you're constantly comparing yourself, it's really exhausting and you constantly feel bad about yourself. And so having a jealous friend sucks, but also being the jealous friend sucks. And you need to be mindful of that and you need to be honest with yourself. Okay, final red flag number 3 is unbalanced friendships, aka you are doing all the work and they're not. So if a friend is not really a friend to you, like you're their friend, but they're not really your friend, that's giving fake friend. That's giving, they don't want to spend time with you. They don't really care about you. If they never reach out, they never respond to you. They never make plans. They're super inconsistent with their texting. They don't treat you the way you treated them. They forget your birthday. You never forget their birthday. You have to make all the plans. They never do. Like, it's tiring to be the only person putting an effort in a relationship, the only person showing interest in another person's life. And if you're anything like me, this hurts. Like, I love making my friends feel special. I love giving amazing birthday presents and showing up for them when they're struggling and being their therapist. But when I don't get the same treatment back, this is really painful because I like to be the best friend ever to people, but not everybody is like you. And so when you don't get the same treatment back, you're like, are you really like my friend? Like, what's the point of being friends with you if you don't even want to be my friend? And you have to be really honest with yourself. Like, are they reciprocating as much as you are? Delete history, delete like, oh, like I've been friends with them since I was 2 years old. Nobody cares. Do they treat you with the same love and respect and attention as you treat them? And if they don't, they aren't your friend. And this might require an honest conversation of, hey, like, I feel like I'm the main driver of this relationship and I'm exhausted. Like, I can't be the only one fighting for this friendship. And they can change and they can start putting in more effort because maybe they were unaware, or if they don't change, then you got to cut them off because you are draining yourself to be their friend. You're practically begging them. But last time I checked, you are perfectly content on your own. You can't be desperate for friends. And so just be mindful of that. Story time. Okay. I actually have lots of stories of different female friends that have used me, whether that was for advice, networking, I was their therapist, and I never got the same treatment back, etc. But I'm going to use the most recent story because it was just a couple weeks ago. So let's call this girl Sarah. And Sarah and I were actually very good friends throughout our younger years. And she's actually a very good person. Like, I like Sarah. We have many good memories together. But again, history doesn't matter when it comes to a friend using you and not caring about you as much as you care about them. History doesn't matter. And so, yes, you can have good memories, but it doesn't mean that they're your friend. And so Sarah and I accidentally reconnected. And so it was like, oh, like I was excited, right? I was excited to yap with her, to catch up. And my mom pulled me aside and kind of, again, told me, Lana, I know you're really excited to meet with Sarah again and catch up, but remember, she dropped you. You never dropped her. Because pretty much how our friendship kind of fell out was in about 10th grade, so sophomore year of high school, she was really struggling with just like stuff that we all struggle with as high schoolers, like mental health stuff. And of course, I dropped everything at the time and I hung out with Sarah more and I made sure that she was doing okay and I made sure that I was a good friend to her. Then in like 10th, like I was a sophomore, I was a sophomore, and junior year, I really struggled with an eating disorder. And when it was my turn to be the one mentally struggling, when it was my turn that I was not doing okay, Sarah was nowhere to be found. And quite frankly, the entire friend group dropped me as I was struggling. Like, nobody ever checked in on me, ever. And that sucked. Because, okay, number one, it was physically obvious I had an eating disorder. This isn't like depression. You can literally see it. But secondly, like, you aren't even concerned that you see a friend struggling. Okay. But secondly, it was like, I was the therapist when they were struggling, like a year prior, but when it was my turn, nobody cared. And that hurt, and my mom reminded me of that. But I kind of was, I was like trying to be the bigger person. I'm like, whatever, like, it's fine. It didn't hurt me that bad, which was kind of a lie, but I just wanted my mom to not be concerned. And so I met up with Sarah for lunch a couple of weeks ago, and it felt like a super awkward date. Like, I was the only one asking questions. I was the only one interested in her life. And she was just answering. It was like the worst awkward date ever where the person is so uninterested in your life. And you see, even though you hurt me, I wanted to turn a new leaf and like catch up with you and like get to know you again. But she didn't care to get to know me. And that sucked because it felt like sophomore year of high school all over again, where I'm the one putting in all the effort and there's no effort reciprocated. And so with Sarah, like I finished that lunch and I'm like I walked out and I'm like, wow, I was the only one asking any of the questions and I was the only one remotely interested in the other person's life. And it kind of sucked because I wanted to rekindle a friendship that I thought was good for me, but obviously not. And then I actually met up with Sarah for another food date, another meal. And again, I was the only one asking questions. It was super awkward. And I remember coming home and I actually started to cry because I'm like, why does she not care about me? And you know what? The reality is she doesn't. And I just had to accept it and move on. And it is really hard to see a friend. And this might not, like a friendship might start out with both of you reciprocating equally and you both are amazing friends. But as time progresses, if you notice this person just doesn't respect you or treat you or want to hang out with you as much as you want to hang out with them, they are not a true friend to you. And it's painful. And yes, you can cry about it because losing friendships sucks, but like it's the reality. And we don't need to spend another year being friends with toxic people that don't respect us or treat us the way we are treating them. So those are my 3 big red flags for a toxic friendship: lying/betrayal, jealousy, and unbalanced friendships. Some other smaller red flags to be on the lookout for when it comes to toxic friends are feeling drained after hanging out with them, their lack of interest in your life, not consistent in their communication, emotionally manipulating you or guilt tripping you or like love bombing you, like, oh my gosh, I love you so much, you're like the bestest friend ever, but like 2 weeks later they practically ignore you, being overly passive aggressive and fake. We girls, we know when somebody's being fake because we're masters at it. And the list can go on. And I feel like with fake friends, like I can tell you about all these red flags, but until you go through a friendship and like see a friend that lies or see a friend that just doesn't care about you, you kind of have to learn the hard way a lot of times. But I hope that this episode helped, these red flags helped. And let's briefly chat about how to remove a fake or toxic friend from your life. So first, I think it is very mature to go up to this friend and explain what they're doing. Explain that they have hurt you. Explain that they have, they didn't treat you the way you treated them. And if there was a conversation and they apologized and their actions reflect their words, then obviously your friendship isn't toxic anymore. It's healthy. You can move on. If you talked about it and nothing improved, or they said, oh yeah, like I'm really sorry, like I'll be better, and then their actions don't align with their words, then it's time for, next step, which is slowly distancing yourself. Like don't make it a whole scene. Don't unfollow and block them. Don't like do all this crazy stuff. Don't send long paragraphs of text messages. Just go ghost. Because if they never treated you right, and even if you had a conversation and then they didn't do anything to fix the relationship, then they obviously don't want you in their life. So what's the point of you being in theirs? And so mute them on socials, kind of distance yourself, don't text, don't check in, and actually do a little test, especially for those unbalanced friendships, because those, I feel like it's easier to see like a jealous or a lying friend, but with unbalanced friendships, it's a lot harder because they didn't do anything wrong. It's what they did not do. They did not reach out to you. They did not make the plans. They did not show interest in your life. And that's what hurts. If a person, so again, if they're fake, just slowly distance them from your life. And it might be a situation where you can't really go up and talk to them. Or they might like say like, oh, like I never did that. Like I never lied about you. Then again, distance yourself from them. You were the mature one. You had a conversation. You explained how you felt. You gave them a second chance and distance yourself. If they are the emotionally manipulative type and they start like texting you a lot and like love bombing you and like apologizing profusely, then it's time to block them. But we only block them if they start to bother us, okay? Not just out of the blue. We don't need to make irrational decisions. We are mature. At the end of the day, like protect and respect yourself enough to let them go. Like if they were not a good friend to you, they do not deserve you. And so I think one of the biggest reasons why I'm really working hard on loving and treating myself good is that even if I have 0 friends, I'm content. And so I don't need to hang on to these toxic friendships because, I'm scared to be alone. I'm okay being alone. Like, I really am. Or, we have so many memories together. Like, we were friends for so long. And history doesn't show anything. Of course, you can reminisce on good memories. Of course, you can look back and smile and look back at those photos. But it doesn't mean you need to have them in your life currently if they're not a good friend to you. And it's a really hard realization. And I know that it's like a painful pill to swallow, but it is what it is. We are not spending another year surrounding ourselves with toxic, fake, jealous, competitive people that don't treat us the way we treat them. So I hope that this episode helped. And before we end, I want to give you a quote of the week. It's okay to walk out of someone's life if you don't feel like you belong in it anymore. If you are not treated as a true friend, you're not really a part of their life and you shouldn't be anymore. And that's okay. It's okay to not be a part of someone's life for more than a chapter. And it's okay for you to have just sorrow that, it was such a good relationship. Like, there were so many good parts. Of course, everybody has good sides, but if the bad sides are outweighing the good, if you don't feel good around them, if they're lying about you, if they don't treat you with the same love and respect and outreach that you treat them, if they are competing with you, they're not a good friend. And it sucks. And I understand how you feel because I've been through it so many times. And the good friends do eventually come. I pray every single day to God to give me some good friends that don't betray me, that don't make me feel bad. And luckily, I've been blessed with a couple of amazing women to call my friends. Thank you so much for listening. And again, be sure to follow this podcast wherever you listen, leave a comment or an Apple review for a shout out. And I'll see you next week, my loves. Bye-bye.